Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Owlet Majors Grand Final. On the desk tonight, I am one of your analysts, Hodohori, joined as always with my partner, Pulse. We're going to be spectating a great match today, Pulse. It is between Boosted, by the way, and the Furious Unicorns, two teams that have earned their spots here in the Majors Grand Final. I'm looking forward to a good match. How about you?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to a good match. Boosted, by the way, has been an amazing team to watch and cast throughout this entire season, getting that perfect 20-0. And Furious Unicorns really making their strides in this playoffs because they were the 6th seed coming in. They've beaten the 2nd seed, they've beaten the 3rd seed to make their way to the grand finals. So they really don't want to lose anything. They're coming into this and they have everything to show off, everything that they've learned. They've made their way all the way through this stage, sort of been the underdog in all of playoffs, and they're the underdog tonight, but they have a very good showing going for them lately.
Yeah, the Unicorns here trying to basically show everyone that teamwork is superior here in Overwatch, because they might not be the most skilled individually, but being able to overcome the Ghost Peppers there in the semifinals and in the quarterfinals, beating a very hot Yes team who were the 3 seed going in, showing that, a team with a single mind can achieve many, many goals. So let's sort of read off who are the Unicorns, who should we be looking at. So for the roster here for the Unicorns, you've got both the Oxicon and Japan Banks here as your main tanks. Draco Bolt and the Owlet Nest host Prez will be your main off tanks here. Pokitude, Frisky looking like your supports, and a plethora of DPS players. J-Min, Blue, Jack, Puppy, and Kitty will be a backup main support. Just as a shout out to my boy Blue, this is going to be his 3rd final of an Overwatch tournament here, so congratulations to him. Unfortunately, he's forever the bridesmaid, never the bride. 2 second place finishes in University League Season 6, as well as Scrub Cup Season 2. He's looking to win a title today. The Unicorns here have a solid lineup, Pulse, and going down the list, I mean, they've basically come together as a team. They've looked very, very good, and they really, really want to get one over Boosted, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said was basically they want to win the grand finals, which is true for every team pretty much. But yeah, they have the talent, they have the teamwork shown, they've proved that they can make it this far. And honestly, with how they've been playing in playoffs, they have a real chance to take it off of Boosted tonight.
Yeah, they have a really good chance. They took this team here 2-5 in the regular season here. The only team to take Boosted to 5 maps, actually. Closest other team was Burn, who Boosted defeated in the semifinals 3-1. They took them to 4 maps, only lost 2-1. But let's introduce the members of Boosted, by the way. You've got a team that has gone overall 22-0, and they are stacked. This is a team that is absolutely fantastic, with Delicious and Panda Bear Kev. Boxer listed as their main tanks. You've got DPS main man Lokai. As long as he doesn't feed, he will take your head off. Along with Zach there and Raxling as your DPS. Flamia, a great support in the background there with Memory and Mailman. Yuichi, their social media manager here, listed on their roster. This is a team that's up and down one of the best here in the Owlet Majors, and they are definitely a team to be reckoned with. They have a lot on the line here, going for the perfect record, and they really want to have a good showing here on tonight's tournament.
Yeah, for sure. And we have some returning faces from some of the Season 1 champions even on this team that you see in people like Delicious and Flamia. Anyone that was on that Microsoft Excel. Very good team from Season 1 of Owlet. And also just some really good names overall that if you've been following Owlet or if you've been around the community at all, you really recognize.
Yeah, so this is one of those teams up and down. They are going to be very, very formidable. Just basically as a note, one you want to watch out for, it is going to be Panda Bear Kev, their main off tank, and supposedly Boosted, by the way, they say they're carry. So watch out for his diva play and off tank play here from Boosted, because a lot of that depends on him peeling for the supports for people like Mailman and Memre. So to make sure that they stay alive in this match. But enough of us. You want to see the match. We're going to send it to the floor. We're going to send it to our main casters here. It's going to be Nekkra and SudsNBubbles. Take it away, team.
Thank you so much, Hodo and Pulse, for the history lesson here between Boosted, by the way, and Furious Unicorns. But we're ready to kick this action off on Lijiang. And with the analysis that you just heard, Suds, what do you think that these two teams are going to run on this control map?
What they're going to run is, I feel like, really up in the air, and it's going to depend heavily on what point we start on. If we do go to Control Center, we're very likely going to see goats. We saw in the little blurb there that Fusion Unicorns have become quite proficient in that composition, so wouldn't surprise me. Otherwise, I think we've got some great DPS players on both of these teams, so I think the other maps will give them a chance to really shine on their more comfort picks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we talked about Lokai running the Widowmaker, the McCree, maybe a little bit of Ashe, so we might see a little bit of that. But they're actually not going to be starting out on the Boosted, by the way, roster. So we do have like Panda Bear Kev that might be able to flex out some of that hit scan, like Hodohori had said. And you also have a couple of amazing support players on that Boosted, by the way, team. So might see some Mercy, some Anna, Zenyatta, all of the supports here. Furious Unicorns, it looks like that we were going to do a little bit more of the DPS here. We got a little bit of a headstrong player here in Jamin refusing to swap their team logo here. Everybody else with the Chengdu Hunters. And Suds, do you think we're going to see some of the Chengdu Hunter strats from this team? Do you think that's telling at all?
I think it's very possible. They seem to really idolize that team from the looks of things, but that different team logo in their player profile really worries me. I don't know if this team's got the synergy right now. They seem to be going different directions with that.
I know, right? I know it's a little bit confusing here, but it does look like Jamin is going to be the hit scan DPS for the Furious Unicorns. Their signature hero is Widowmaker, and they were a high-level Fortnite and Smite player. Maybe that's why they love the Florida Mayhem so much. Fun fact, for those of you that follow Contenders, the Mayhem Academy was the only team in the Contender season to be able to take a win off of Philadelphia Fusion for the Fusion Uni Academy. So that's super exciting here. Maybe Jamin is just a Mayhem Academy fan, but I think we're about ready to go. And yeah, I'm super excited to see what these two teams come up with. I mean, early predictions, Suds, on who's going to take this entire series.
So that's definitely a tough one, because as our analysts pointed out, Boosted, by the way, likely the favorites here. They've come through this tournament looking really good, but Furious Unicorns appear to have that clutch factor here in the playoffs. They're able to play up to their opponent's level and even above it when necessary. So right now they're on a hot streak, and I really have to give it to them from my point of view.
Okay, well, maybe I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Maybe just give it to the way of, I was actually a little bit distracted here by the fact that we were starting on the map. So maybe you guys will have to wait to hear my predictions here as we start assembling heroes onto Control Center. And Suds, we had talked about Control Center a little bit briefly here, but this is where you think we're going to see more of that triple tank, triple support brawling it out on point, huh?
Absolutely, and I mean, yesterday in the minors, we even saw the May variation there, so using those walls really in really interesting ways, as well as just walling people off and getting easy kills, so I'm interested to see if we get something similar here in the Majors Division today.
I think we might. We have a couple of flex players on Boosted, by the way, and Furious Unicorns. Both of them have shown that they can show that prowess on the GOATS comps, and you called it like it is. There are Mays on both sides of the field, Suds.
Well, just call me a premonition predictor type person, because that's what we get, and I'm really excited because how you use that May, especially in this mirror matchup, comes down to be the deciding factor in a lot of cases. The walls are so important, and if you pop out a bad one, that could lose you a team fight.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that, but it does look like both of these teams are going to come out in a mirrored composition here. We're seeing a little bit of a rotation coming in from Boosted, by the way, to force the fight into server room. So they are going to be able to get a little bit of an advantage here. Getting aggressive here is Delicious, ends up charging in, but does lose his life here. Of course, the rest of the members of Boosted, by the way, are there to clean up the rest of Furious Unicorns. Jamin, very high charge, trying to get away with that. And I think that May wall coming in from Foxer is going to help them be able to get away. But of course, as I say that, Panda Bear Kev doesn't want to let that happen. First point cap going over to Boosted, by the way.
You're absolutely right, and you pointed out that they made that rotation onto the stairs just to force Furious Unicorns back towards server room. They got a nice wall off to kind of corner them in, and were able to capitalize on it, and now they've got control of the point and are starting to get the ult advantage just because they did so much more damage in that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes down to that triple tank, triple support, even if it is a variant with a DPS, that first fight means so much in order to start building up that ultimate economy. An early wall from Boosted, by the way, might play against them here, but a massive shatter from Delicious will fell all of the members of Furious Unicorns here, sent back to spawn, and no one's going to be able to get out of this one alive.
Yeah, and there we saw one of those bad walls we were talking about, and it put them in a rough position, but luckily Delicious with a huge shatter to turn that fight around. However, ult's starting to come online for Furious Unicorns. They're going to have the shatter, the transcendence, and getting close to that graviton surge. So it's going to, I think we're going to see them try to look for a little bit of an off angle with one of these big important ults as Jamin is playing just a little bit differently from where Lijiang's head.
Yeah, Jamin is playing a little bit more conservatively here with the Zarya bubbles here, but a Graviton and then a defensive shatter coming in from Furious Unicorns. Transcendence on top might give Furious Unicorns a fighting chance here as that ticker does go up to the last fight mark here. Graviton out, Memories, Transcendence on top of it though to be able to keep Boosted, by the way, alive, and now we're seeing some ultimates get forced out here by Boosted, by the way, in order to keep this point in their control. A lot has been emptied, but we are in last fight territory here for the Furious Unicorns.
Absolutely, really good hold there, and unfortunately I think they probably could have held onto that shatter to prevent this next fight from happening, but as I say that, I don't know that Furious Unicorns are even going to be able to touch.
Yeah, they're trying to go through this main choke that Delicious is holding super aggressive here with that Earth Shatter. It's too little too late. It will be Boosted, by the way, capping that first stage of Lijiang and giving them a pretty good confidence boost going into the next map.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it, but it really came down to just winning that first fight with the really well-placed Maywall, and we know that on these control points, winning the first fight is so important. Even if you do eventually lose control of the point, a lot of times you've built up enough percentage on there that you can take your time, build up a lot of ultimates, and come back and just flip it back for a last fight, and that didn't even end up being necessary. So here, on this map, we expected a little bit more DPS play, but it looks like they want to stick with those mirror 3-3 compositions, just swapping out the Mei for the Diva.
Hey, go to Sweaty, right? So that's when you know that these teams are trying hard, as we see Boosted, by the way, taking a backwards approach to the point. They will beat Furious Unicorns to the punch here, and that means that they are able to pump out the pressure where Furious Unicorns has to play a little bit more defensively. Delicious, though, getting his shield battered down as Leoxicon goes through. That will be a full shield drop here for Boosted, by the way, meaning that you don't have those shields up, but Leoxicon now going down on the side of Furious Unicorns means that the advantage goes to Boosted, by the way, and so does the point.
Yeah, and we saw Delicious being able to just get a lot of Fire Strike damage onto Leoxicon and the rest of his team without being contested too much there. You start to think that you need to get a second angle going on that damage onto Delicious, but we will see them try to engage. Zach gets a nice little bash there.
Yeah, that bash will be the go signal for Furious Unicorns to move in, and we've got Pokitude with the speed song on, and that means that we will be able to take Delicious out of this fight for the Furious Unicorns. Memory, though, with the Transcendence to try to keep the rest of the 5 members alive, but now the Graviton's coming out, and there's nothing to be able to save the Boosted, by the way, team from that grab. We need to see a little bit more focus fire, though, coming in from Furious Unicorns if they want to be able to take this without expending any more ultimates, but there's a double Brigitte ult, there's dueling Transcendences and defensive ultimates on point right now, and there's a lot of sustain. So it does look like Boosted, by the way, is going to continue to have a firm hold at this point right now as Furious Unicorns gets caught in a grab bomb combo. Bomb going into the back, will be able to pick up the Oxicon yet again here, and Furious Unicorns will have to go back to spawn and figure out what their plan of attack is going to be for the next one.
And I think you hit the nail on the head there, Nekkra. Speaking about focus fire, we saw the members of Furious Unicorns got some space on point, but were just shooting at all different targets and not being able to actually get those kills. In addition, a lot of focus coming in onto Lijiang from Boosted, by the way, so they need to adjust to that right now.
Absolutely. Gonna have to pump some more resources into Lijiang in order to allow him to be as aggressive as the main tank that needs to be within this Gold's composition, but the rest of the members of the team, especially the backline, picking apart this Boosted by the way composition on point right now. Mailman with just an expert stall here to allow Boosted by the way to get control of this point to last fight territory.
And Furious Unicorns came into that one with a bit of an advantage. We saw the Grav Bomb combo used just to kill Lijiang at the end of the previous fight. So that was some ults that Boosted, by the way, just didn't have there. Now they're going to have to look for a re-engage. Only the sound barrier going to be online for them here at the start, whereas both tank ults as well as the Transcendence for Furious Unicorns, and they should be able to find a position for that Diva Bomb to slow this attack.
Yeah, that Diva Bomb could go into the back line and split the focus here of Boosted, by the way. Do they focus on the tank line in the front or the Diva Bomb in the back? But they need to be able to set the pace of their ults here first. Lijiang going to be first blood here with that Earth Shatter. And then, of course, you've got go signals for the rest of the ultimates on Furious Unicorns. You've got Brigitte ults, dueling Transcendences. Now we've got a Graviton here from Boosted, by the way, catching several members of Furious Unicorns within its midst. It will be Zach now drawing first blood, but also sacrificing themselves. The Diva Bomb coming in a little bit late here, but will find its way into the Shield of Delicious as well as a Bubble of Invincibility from Panda Bear Kev. So Boosted, by the way, looks like they're going to be able to come back and take this point by storm here. It's a lot of stall here coming in from Furious Unicorns. Need to be able to take out key target, but we've got a Diva Bomb from Boosted, by the way, zoning a lot of people off the point, and Lijiang, though, coming back with a massive shatter. So we are going to see Furious Unicorns stabilize, and this is a massive fight.
Yeah, that went all over the place, but you saw how quickly Boosted, by the way, are charging these ults. They're getting so much damage onto Furious Unicorns, even when they're sustaining. All 6 of their ults ended up being up in the beginning of that fight, but now we have Frisky on the Tracer because they had to get back very quickly, so we'll see if they're able to find value in that.
Well, the Graviton is going to find at least Delicious within its midst, which sets up a nice charge here from Lijiang to take that shield out of the fight. There's less damage mitigation on board right now, but Furious Unicorn stepped up long enough to allow Boosted, by the way, to take the point cap back in their favor here, but it is still an advantage for the Furious Unicorns. They just need to be able to take a couple out, but a massive Earth Shatter again from Lijiang and a lot of follow-up from the rest of the team. So this is the target focus we wanted to see for the Furious Unicorns here, and as we enter overtime and Wrecking Ball goes down, the point cap comes back over, and they need to be able to hold on. Maybe, I don't think anyone from Boosted, by the way, is going to be able to touch.
Nope, that was some late kills in that fight, and that's going to be the second point going over to Furious Unicorns. Really good job by them. It looks like they just need a little bit of warm-up, and now they are playing up to the level of Boosted, by the way.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. That first stage looked like a little bit of a warm-up map for them. I know that on Control Center, you touched on this a little bit before, but once you get control of that point specifically with a Mei, it can be very difficult to break through that defensive composition on point. But here's where we see some DPS choices, potentially. A large hitbox here on Lijiang Gardens, and what do you think about these comps that are coming out from both of these teams, Suds?
Well, it looks like we're just going to get the Sombra 3-3 on the side of Furious Unicorns, but Zach on the Pharah for Boosted, by the way, gives them a little bit more flexibility with where they can put damage in from, and it forces Furious Unicorns to use that far side of the point as their engaging point.
Oh, absolutely here. That we are going to see Furious Unicorns getting around some bits of damage here from where they ended up engaging. I do like the Moira choice from Frisky. I think that's going to play to great success for Furious Unicorns versus the Pharmacy duo of Zach and Mailman on Boosted, by the way. We saw Mailman get some expert resurrections on the Mercy a couple of nights ago during the semis, but of course, as memory goes down, we might be able to see that now, but we're not going to allow that on Furious Unicorns. We are going to see a hack and a follow-up kill here onto that Mercy, removing that support pressure, and it does look like Furious Unicorns just has a little bit of cleanup before they got that point cap first this time.
They sure did, and the hack onto the Mercy, as you pointed out, was so key to getting the win in that fight. That is the bulk healing that they have. Mimre only able to offer a little bit in his AoE. So now ultimates starting to come online for both sides, going to have about 3 ults to engage here. Zach, little slow building up the barrage this time around.
Just a little bit, but we might be able to see that barrage coming online in the later parts of this fight. But a massive EMP from Boosted, by the way, is going to be able to start off this fight. And with all of those tools eliminated from Furious Unicorn's toolkit here, Boosted, by the way, can have their pick of the litter as they go ahead and take out Pokitude for that point cap for themselves.
And that was a really interesting engage from Boosted, by the way. They dove in, pretty much drawing out the EMP from Jaemin, and Panda Bear Kev had stayed out just long enough to come in with his own EMP, and that flipped the fight back the other direction. And as you said, they were able to just burn down the remaining members of Furious Unicorns. Now they're looking to find a way back in here, and Zach, with the barrage, is going to try to catch them in rotation.
Oh, I liked that Sombra 1v1 that we saw between Jaemin and Panda Bear Kev. Now removing that Sombra from the fight, we are going to see Zach get forced into the barrage to no effect here. Diva Bomb now coming out, but we saw a lot of members of Boosted, by the way, drop off of the point, so that Furious Unicorns took back over, and without that Sombra pressure early on, we will see Furious Unicorns hold strong.
Absolutely, a nice little stagger onto Foxer there. Furious Unicorns able to connect onto the enemy team with that engage there, and it was so big of Jaemin to get that off angle with the Sombra, divert the attention of the defense there, and now Jaemin going to have this EMP up once again, looking for the placement of it.
Oh, well, that's going to be a big hitter for Jaemin's EMP here. We do have a lot of members of Boosted, by the way, that ended up within the realm of the lights out scenario, but a trade across the board means that we are within a 5-5 scenario. The Valkyrie coming in from Mailman is going to provide a lot of sustain for Boosted, by the way, and Exgen. Oh, that was an expert eat by Foxer. She's a hungry diva for Draco Bolt's Graviton Surge, and now there's not a whole lot that Furious Unicorns has to be able to deal with the pressure coming in from Boosted, by the way. We do see an aggressive sound barrier utilized by Pokitude just to be able to hold onto the point as long as possible here. But, oh, another EMP here online for Jaemin, but it's just a little bit of stall action for Pokitude. We will see the point cap go back over to Boosted, by the way, but they still have that EMP online.
They have the EMP and 99%, so final fight territory if they're able to flip this one back. Panda Bear Kev going to have an EMP of his own for the defense, as well as Mimre with the sound barrier, so he has to do everything he can to stay out of this EMP, but Jaemin knows it and is trying to keep an eye on it.
I'm not sure if I have some technical difficulties on my end, but I wasn't able to hear SudsNBubbles through that, but I am able to hear the justice rain from above that we were hoping to see here on the side of Boosted, by the way. Zach building up to that Farah barrage and keeping everybody at Furious Unicorns at bay.
Yeah, absolutely, and we are going to see that they're going to have to back off and look for a fresh engage here as Furious Unicorns goes back into the white room.
Well, this is where it all counts here. It's going to be the last fight, and with an opening EMP coming in from Jaemin, there's going to be a couple of members of Boosted, by the way, that are caught into it, but not enough. We still see a lot of ultimates online. Zach popping that Farah barrage will get that double kill and a lot of extra damage on the rest of Furious Unicorn, so they have the numbers advantage within this fight right here. But Lijiang has all the sustain, popping that Primal Rage, and now it is time for Delicious to use their own here. So wow, Furious Unicorn actually showing a lot of target focus within this one, and I think they might be able to take it back. They have a couple of members left of Boosted, by the way, that they need to deal with, but it's a 99-99 scenario. Delicious is still alive to try to get back to the point to reproc that overtime, but Furious Unicorns with the reverse sweep on Lijiang.
Yeah, they get the reverse sweep, and that's going to be a 1-0 scoreline in this final for Furious Unicorns, coming out really strong here at the start. So Panda Bear Kev, we will see this play of the game here on the Zarya, just cleaning up after a really nice shatter from Delicious on Control Center. Excellent play from both teams, really, but as we said, Furious Unicorns stepping up to the occasion once again.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is what the analysts are talking about a little bit, that Furious Unicorns, they're looking for blood. They've been the underdog of the playoff bracket so far, starting out as the 6th seed, taking out 3rd, 2nd, and they're looking at taking out the 1st seed tonight. But it will be moving on to our second map choice here, and that is going to be Rialto. So how do you think this one's going to go, knowing that Rialto has more of those open spaces? Is it more of that GOATS comp that we've seen on the first 2 stages of Lijiang, or is it going to be more of that DPS that we saw in the 3rd?
A lot of times you're going to get the GOATs almost definitely on 3rd point Rialto, most likely on 2nd point. 1st point is where you kind of have the option. You can play the DPS comps there if you feel comfortable on them, and it wouldn't surprise me if these teams do. So, I think we could continue to see more of that Pharah, and I'm excited to hopefully see a little bit of Widow play here as well. I know there are some really good hit scan players on both of these teams.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we can even talk about Flamia. Flamia, one of the support players for Boosted, by the way, started out as a Widow and Pharah 2-trick. So, you know, she actually had to learn how to play the support role for the team. And I was actually kind of hoping we would see her play some...
Yeah, absolutely. That being said, I'm excited to see a little bit more of Foxter's Diva play. She's been really good for both Season 1 and Season 2 of Owlet, getting a lot of effectiveness there. Big Diva bombs, as well as being really good at countering enemy Pharahs and other ranged DPS heroes.
Oh, yeah. We do see a lot of ranged DPS sometimes when it comes down to a defensive hold here on Rialto. But a lot of times on the defense, we also do see that triple tank, triple support. A lot of teams like to take that composition, hold up at the doors, this attacking spawn doors, spawn camp a little bit, you know, buy some time off the clock, and hopefully get to a point where they get a chance to recontest 2 more times. But yeah, it looks like we might actually see a sub here from Boosted, by the way. We saw Lokai play on Rialto during Boosted, by the way, semifinal match here, where they played the Widowmaker versus Merge. Didn't win most of those 1v1s, but it might be different against Furious Unicorns.
Absolutely. Those Widow duels, it's... In addition to being a huge skill matchup, it's such a high skill matchup that can be affected by as little as your mood that day on the Widowmaker. It's such a high precision character to be playing that, you know, one day you could be, you know, worst Widowmaker in the league, and the next day you could be one of the best. It just really depends heavily on how you're playing.
Yeah, and for a lot of these players, too, they are students as well. So if you think about it, we're in a time where we might be seeing some of these players that are in college playing through the playoffs here, and also having to balance that role with their studies. So a lot of these players have said, you know, they're working through exams, they're working through final projects, you know, big percentage holders of their grades for the final legs of the semester here. So there's a lot to balance when it comes down to playing on an Overwatch team that a lot of people don't seem to, you know, sometimes forget.
Absolutely, especially here in our amateur areas, excuse me. So it looks like we are just about ready to hop into this game. I'm again just super excited to see what we get. I want to see more of this Reinhardt battle between Leoxicon and Delicious, because we talked a little bit about it on the last map, that Leoxicon getting focused down a little bit more heavily, not quite getting the support from his team, and possibly needing to just play a little bit more passively to extend his life so that they can get those cooldowns back up during those fights.
Yeah, there were a couple of times, though, too, where Leoxicon would go down on the Reinhardt and be able to get back in time to come in with a clutch Earth Shatter. But it is better to have that big shield up to be able to mitigate some of that damage coming in from the enemy team. So I'm really excited to see how that Reinhardt battle plays out as well. Delicious, very aggressive Reinhardt. I think that that's kind of their signature move there with any main tank that they play. They tend to, overreach sometimes, get very aggressive in the front line of another team. So Furious Unicorns is going to have to adjust their strategy a little bit to deal with that frontline pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. And a big part of that comes down to the assistance of your Zarya and your Brigitte player. You need to have those bubbles ready as necessary, the armor pack ready for your Reinhardt, as well as that shield bash to just kind of stymie the aggression of the enemy team.
And you remember now that even though it's been a little while, that shield bash change to Brigitte still seems to be something that teams are feeling out. This was a couple patches ago where Brigitte now no longer can bash and stun an enemy through a shield, so you do see some Brigitte players getting a little bit dangerous when they have to go in for maybe a nice bash to enable an Earth Shatter or enable a Diva Bomb per se. But I think that all in all, these two teams have progressed so much throughout this tournament, and this is just a different level of gameplay for all of these players.
Absolutely, and I mean, we saw it a lot last season, but this season as well, a lot of players graduate out of our SR requirements here, and these are two teams that it wouldn't surprise me if they continue to climb as we go into the offseason here. But the important thing is this finals match to these two teams. They are both fighting for their lives here. And it does look like here on the defense, we're going to get a kind of a double sniper set up with Zach on the Hanzo and Lokai on the Ashe.
Ooh, so we will have a lot of long-range damage here, and that's what we were talking about, that this could be a viable strategy for a couple of players here, but it looks like we're looking for a pause. Maybe some connection issues. I know I was having that a little bit earlier. A lot of people trying to play this new Uprising event.
Yeah, no kidding. Everybody logging back onto Overwatch. And speaking of these compositions, it looks like we're going to have the Widow versus Ashe matchup. So in a lot of situations, the Widow just has a little bit more range there, giving them the advantage, as well as once you get those infrasights up. But Ashe with the dynamite into this Reinhardt, as well as the Brigitte that should be moving along with him, can oftentimes do a lot of damage and force the opponent to slow their aggression a bit.
Getting a little bit of interesting updates here in the chat. Frisky's monitor apparently fell off the desk because they are super nervous and excited about playing in this matchup here. In their words, my monitor fell on my face. Definitely not something that you hear every day.
Yeah, you shouldn't hang your monitor above your face, but if that's what works for you, by all means. And it looks like a little bit of swaps actually coming in for Furious Unicorns. Leoxicon over to the Winston and Jack onto the Hanzo of his own.
Ah, rats. I was also looking forward to seeing Draco Bolt play that Sombra because we saw Jamin play that on Lijiang. So seeing what kind of Sombra plays that Furious Unicorns can kind of play off the back of. But we are seeing quite a bit of space here from Boosted, by the way, given up to the Furious Unicorns with that cart rounding not only the first corner, but the second corner as well. I wonder when Boosted, by the way, is going to engage.
Yeah, this is very interesting to me, and you've got Leoxicon there in the backline harassing Lokai on the Ashe, and that's actually going to start to turn the fight.
Yeah, it is a big distraction there with Leoxicon on that Winston in the backline, getting a lot of the members of Boosted, by the way, to turn around, and there isn't a whole lot of contest that can happen on this first point, so Furious Unicorns capping the first one and rolling into the second.
Yeah, I'm honestly quite confused by that defensive setup we got from Furious Unicorns. So, but moving into the second point, Lokai will make a swap onto his own Widowmaker, so we will get the double sniper mirrors, just swapping out the Zarya for a Diva and the Zen for an Ana here.
Well, there's gonna
Lucio.
Oh yeah, so there is going to be a lot of speed on the side of Furious Unicorns, which will help them kind of continue to roll with the momentum that they've created through that first point of Rialto. They are coming up on those sniper ultimates, so Jamin going to be able to give a lot of information to his team, but they've got to be able to watch out for these bio-nades on both sides here. Jamin, though, seeing an opening behind Delicious' shield, takes out Panda Bear Kev, meaning that they aren't going to be able to build the Graviton on the side of Boosted, by the way, and still seeing this cart roll with very little pressure here from Boosted, by the way. Everybody backing up because Jack attack here with the Nano Boost Hanzo will force everybody on Boosted, by the way, back.
Yeah, and this defense from Boosted, by the way, looking a little bit scattered, pretty much ignoring the kind of accepted strategy of holding on the top of that stairwell so that you have the high ground and can drop onto the attackers. But now a quick kill onto Jack by Mimro.
Oh yeah, that's going to open up quite a bit here for Boosted, by the way, to potentially stabilize this fight. But wow, Lokai now winning that Widow 1v1 here versus Jamin will give Boosted, by the way, some confidence to stabilize the defense, and Furious Unicorns just waiting for their members to come back.
And Lokai going to have the Infrasight built up here. We've got very soon a Graviton Dragon combo ready for Boosted, by the way. So that's really going to be their fight winner here. Unless Delicious can land a really large shatter, gonna be hard to block for Leoxicon on that Winston.
Absolutely, you've got that Winston bubble that can disappear in a matter of seconds like you just saw there, which opens up a good opportunity for Delicious to utilize that. But a nice sleep here onto that Raging Winston will take them out of this fight, and it will allow Boosted, by the way, to get their shots off while their backline isn't harassed. So a lot of sniper prowess on the side of Boosted, by the way, and Furious Unicorns, though, they still have 4 minutes.
Yeah, but they're going to go ahead and throw out this dragon. Makes me think that they're going to go on back and, make some swaps from the looks of things. Go over to a more traditional 3-3 comp with Jack on that Brigida. So now they have reset their ult economy to do this, just the sound barrier, but I might even hold on to that and see if you can't just draw out some ultimates from Boosted, by the way, in this fight. Get that Graviton Dragon out at the very least.
Oh, I really like that. Force out some ult here, and there's that Dragaton combo that you were talking about with a nice sound barrier, though, on top of it from Pokitude. It won't be enough sustain to be able to save Leoxicon here, and Frisky soon to follow. So there are a couple of ultimates that we did see used on the side of Furious Unicorns, but not too expensive.
Yeah, and however, now they are just holding on to the Transcendence for Boosted, by the way. Lokai now back onto the Ashes, almost built up a Bob here, which could be a little bit tricky if they get it right into the center of this Goats composition.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to deal with the extra pressure of a 7th member as well. So where there's that numbers advantage coming in from Boosted, by the way, a couple of bubbles here from Panda Bear Kev to try to keep that Bob alive to allow it to do something, but Leoxicon's not going to let that happen. A very smart rotation here coming in from Furious Unicorns just to be able to stay out of the way from some of that damage, and I think they're about ready to move in with that Brigida rally, so here it comes. There is the team of Furious Unicorns, but Draco Bolt! That was a massive eat of the Dragons. That's something we haven't seen in quite a while here, but dueling Transcendences, Leoxicon going for the opening move onto Boosted, by the way, with that Earth Shatter, now that that shield is gone, and that will be a nice cleanup, and they're getting very close to capping that 3rd point.
And that was such an excellent read to back off, wait out the Bob, and re-engage, eating that Graviton Surge as well. Such a key play from Draco Ball, and not another contest as they just push this card for free into 3rd point.
Yeah, that free cart push happened a little bit more often than I think Boosted, by the way, would have liked to allow. We saw a lot of free cart progress on point A as well as point B of Rialto, and it wasn't until point C that we saw Boosted, by the way, able to stabilize their defense and get a fighting chance here. They held them for a decent amount of time, though, Suds.
They did. Only 2 minutes left in the bank, but on Rialto, which is one of the maps where it can actually be very difficult to even cap 3rd or 2nd for that matter. That may not be the best result that Boosted, by the way, could have asked for. but we will be swapping sides here. Furious Unicorns going to go onto the defense of their own. We'll see if they want to make a little bit more forward hold here on first, because a lot of space given by Boosted by the way in on their defense.
Yeah, well, with the composition that's coming out of the defensive spawn doors for Furious Unicorns, they definitely have the tools and the ability to hold up closer to that spawn door. But, Boosted, by the way, having the attacking spawn, they have a significant advantage where they can really respond to this triple tank, triple support they're seeing from Furious Unicorns.
That's right, and this composition from Furious Unicorns tells me that they're expecting a DPS comp to come out from Boosted, by the way. The Moira has so much just bulk healing onto groups of enemies that it can negate a lot of damage coming in from characters like the Pharah or something like the Ashe or Soldier, but the snipers that can get the one-shot kills onto those squishies, it's not quite as effective against.
Oh, very true about that. But those snipers are pretty squishy as well, and we don't see a diva on the side of Boosted, by the way, so no way to eat those Moira orbs.
You are absolutely right, and it does look like we will get the upstairs hold by Furious Unicorns. They're going to try to drop onto the cart here as it rounds the second corner. Boosted, by the way, aware of this, though, and are kind of giving them a wide berth.
They definitely are waiting out, maybe trying to get some of these members healed up here, figuring out how they want to rotate, but a smart dynamite coming in from Lokai is going to get a lot of the members of Furious Unicorns. That's the go signal for Boosted, by the way, to go in and swing ham here. Delicious leading the charge into the front line here of Furious Unicorns, making sure that Lijiang does not have the mobility that he wants to be able to have on that Winston, keeping him at bay, keeping him away from the back line. Delicious trying to create some space here so that their DPS on the side of Boosted, by the way, can get some shots like they have been. Lokai now taking that high ground, trying to force that front line of Furious Unicorns around the corner, and they're still making some progress on at this point. But here's where the all-out brawl comes in handy, and an early Dragons here coming in from Zach will force a lot of the members of Furious Unicorns away. But of course, we're going to see an even faster coalescence here from Frisky to be able to identify and at least mitigate that damage here. But wow, Graviton as well. A sound barrier on top of it to keep everybody alive, and now Delicious forced into just amazing way to utilize that shatter. But now we're going to see a Graviton coming back in from the side of Furious Unicorns, but too little too late here. Jamin is going to be the last-ditch effort for Furious Unicorns to stop this cart.
Draco Ball going to touch for just a moment, but that's going to be about it. And what a long, drawn-out fight. A lot of ultimates built up and used there to varying effectiveness.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah, but I did really like the use of the Bob, actually, to try to solo out the Moira of Frisky, because she was ulting and was unable to use the Fade to get away from that Bob. So really, really good play there. And now, coming into second point, some space going to be given up, but still, Lijiang on this Winston wants to engage early.
He definitely wants to engage, especially because they got an opening pick onto Lokai in the back with the Ashe. And now a second one coming in here from Furious Unicorns onto Flamia means that you've taken out a significant number of the forces here. But hey, if you've got snipers, there's where you see that solo kill action here on the side of Boosted, by the way. And Furious Unicorns now on the back foot.
Yeah, that is correct. They end up losing that fight, and now once again, the Graviton Dragon combo online for Boosted, by the way, and not a whole lot to counter it with. They are going to try to make this high ground hold on the stairway, though, but Lijiang getting very low.
Oh, Lijiang is getting very low here, but there's a lot of resources now getting pumped in to be able to keep that alive. But while Pokeju's not looking, you will see a nice fire strike here from Delicious, taking out that Mercy, and that's leaving just the whole team open for that Graviton.
Yeah, and the Dragon follow-up takes out pretty much everybody. Both snipers do go down for Boosted, by the way, but they are going to stick on this composition moving into third. Not quite the long sightlines we have on the first 2 points here, but Furious Unicorns actually mirroring that. Jamin just about to have the infra sights, but Boosted, by the way, pretty much well in view for the moment.
Oh yeah, and well in view indeed. Lokai is going to find Poketude within that view, so that is a Mercy that is now out of commission on the side of Furious Unicorns, and there goes the Winston too. So like that domino effect, Boosted, by the way, will take out these reinforcements here from Furious Unicorns, and here's where that information comes in handy.
Absolutely, lots of ultimates coming online for Furious Unicorns. They're going to go ahead and pop the Valkyrie to try to get in here with this Diva Bomb.
Oh, the Diva Bomb going to the back will pick up Flamia. Anna a little bit slow to be able to get away from that kind of pressure once you see it within your sights here, but even trades across the board. But with that Mercy Resurrection and those respawns getting closer, this is where FU stabilizes.
Yeah, and I actually like the Mercy over the Ana here for Furious Unicorns because you get the Resurrection, and these sniper characters are usually in safer places where that Resurrection is possible. Not really an option for Boosted, by the way. Flamia, though, going to have this Nano Boost. I would expect it to come out onto either Delicious or Panda Bear Kev, just increase the damage from those big hitting tanks.
Definitely. You have that DPS potential from the Mercy boost, but Delicious now seeing an opportunity to use that Earth Shatter, but there's another Transcendence and a lot of support ultimates being used to answer some of these big hitting ultimates here, but now that means that Furious Unicorns does not have a defensive ultimate for this Dragaton combo, so Poke2 taking out of the fight yet again here, but Furious Unicorns with those faster respawns will get their reinforcements in faster for this fight, taking down the rest of Boosted, by the way.
Yeah, that's a good turn to that fight, because Boosted, by the way, looked to have the advantage. They got a nice anti-nade into the Transcendence, and then after that, they had the Graviton Dragon combo that got Frisky, I believe, was on the Mercy, Poke2 was on the Mercy, and now we are actually going to see the swaps for Boosted, by the way, going to the more traditional Goats composition once again, just holding on to the Ana for that Nano Boost.
Well, we saw Furious Unicorns do this on their attacking push, and it worked out really well for them. So I think that Boosted, by the way, might be taking a page out of their book here as they swap over with less than 2 minutes left. But we will be able to see Furious Unicorns answer that with a Goats of their own. But a Nano Boost onto Delicious might mean that we build up that Earth Shatter, and there it goes. It's going to be hitting several members of the backline here of Furious Unicorns, but no follow-up because of how much healing and sustain is on the side for Furious Unicorns, especially with that Transcendence on top. A lot of these members becoming very invincible here, and now Lijiang using a shatter of his own. Lots of follow-up there, though. Lots of Discord orbs being followed from Furious Unicorns, and we have a little over a minute left for Boosted, by the way.
And Lijiang was absolutely the hero of that play. He was out of position, so he was unable to block the shatter, but he came in with the counter charge, getting Delicious from the side before he could walk forward and get the kills onto the couple of characters his shatter did hit. Now, things have turned a little bit. We will see the sound barrier coming in for Mimre here shortly, and the rally going to be online for Jack should give them the sustain they need in this fight.
Yeah, you can use one of those or both of those to get a little bit aggressive here, because this is where you need to pack a significant punch. This is the point that you were talking about, Suds, that it can be notoriously difficult to get through, but with that Brigitte rally, we will see Furious Unicorns not only use one of their own, but another bomb into the back, this time, though, not picking up either of the supports within the backline. So Boosted, by the way, is definitely back in this, but there's 30 seconds left on the clock. There's that sound barrier now, which is the Ghost Signal to get aggressive on the side of Boosted, by the way, but now with the Graviton coming in from both sides here, it's going to be even bigger on the side of Furious Unicorns, getting all 6 of the members of Boosted, by the way. The mech, though, on to Lokai means that they will be able to get back into it with the Diva Bomb, and here is where we have that ultimate fiesta. We've got less than 6 seconds left, and Furious Unicorn seems to be having the numbers advantage here, so it looks like they're going to be able to keep that aggressive oppression here from Boosted, by the way, offline, and they might take this second map, too.
There it is. They're going to get the hold. That is 2 wins here for Furious Unicorns in our grand final of the Owlet Majors, and really neither of these teams were able to mount a defense on those first 2 points, but on the third, both of them seemed to kind of wake up and find their feet again. But here is the play of the game from Draco Bolt. Some people might argue it could have gone to J-Min, but a lot of damage coming out from Draco Bolt right there. Really good diva play.
I mean, this is where you see where the majority of the damage comes in from just that play of the game alone for that triple tank, triple support. But to break it down even further, let's invite Hodahori and Pulse back to provide their expert analysis on what just happened.
Thank you, Nekkra. Thank you, Suds. Pulse, my goodness. I don't think if you were to poll the rest of the members of the Owlet tournament and everybody in that Discord, if you were to say that Furious Unicorns would be up 2-0 in the grand final against Boosted, by the way, I think you would probably say that nobody would have predicted this one.
Definitely not. I remember casting a game the night that Furious Unicorns actually went 2-3 against Boosted. We weren't casting that one, unfortunately, but the sheer amount of Twitch emotes and everything I saw popping in the Owlet Discord when everyone thought that Furious Unicorns had a shot to win that match was absolutely insane. And now we see a scenario where FU is looking really good, and they're setting themselves up to take this and take it early, too. It's only 2 maps in. They have that perfect 2-0. And they just looked so good tonight, too.
Yeah, they look absolutely fantastic. So let's take you back all the way here to the first map, and it will be Lijiang Tower here to start off with. FU with a really rough start. It's almost as if they, when they started on Command Center, they had to sort of work off those nerves, because it looked like they came in with pretty close to mirror comps, both running Maze on the assault there, and they just couldn't get a foothold there. They lost the initial fight and were just unable to get back into the fight, and Boosted looked very, very good there in that first map on Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, they almost... I can't recall if it was exactly 100-0, but it might as well have been, because Boosted looked so good. They pretty much held them very far forward. Everything was going their favor. Boosted was very coordinated in the way they were using their ults all the time to make sure that Furious Unicorns just had no way to get a foot in the door. They were just completely denied any point on Control Center. But when we saw it moving over to Night Market, things changed up as soon as Boosted got to about 100%. They finally won their first fight, more or less, of the series, and things started to change into Furious Unicorn's favor at that point.
Yeah, I mean, like, you looked at the fight, they were down 93-0 on Night Market when they just up and decided, it's like, all right, we're just not going to be able, we're not going to give you guys any more percentage points here on the point, and they just basically looked like they sort of settled in. The focus fire from Furious Unicorns was pretty terrible leading up to that point. And then, but what ended up happening there, being forced to fight in that small area, really just sort of helped them sort of make sure that they were able to take out targets quickly. And as fights went, and you saw this as and through Rialto also, as Furious Unicorns were able to sort of build up those ults and make fights sort of last a long time, they started to gain an advantage there, because it seemed like Boosted, by the way, had trouble with long time focus, because if they didn't win a fight right away and a fight sort of dragged on, it almost as if Unicorns became sort of stronger and were able to sort of overwhelm the individual brilliance of some of the members of Boosted.
Yeah, and I mentioned it to you too when we were discussing this before we were brought back on, but just the longer a fight goes on and the more ults that are used in that fight, the higher probability that we see Furious Unicorns pulling out with a win in that fight. And honestly, just the sheer speed at which we see some of these support ults being built from the side of FU, that alone is winning them some of these fights. Just having a trans up, having a speed up whenever you need it, which is exactly what FU is pulling off tonight. That's winning them so many fights.
Yeah, and let's talk about Rialto, because it was one of those maps in which you saw the advantage of having a support be able to have the proper support ult at the right time to sort of protect you and win you a fight. And you saw it a lot of the times here coming out from Frisky, who was able to have the Transcendence absolutely when they needed to have it, as on offense and on defense. I mean, on offense, Fierce Unicorns looked like they were just going to roll Boosted, by the way, who were able to sort of slow them down at the gate leading into the area before the third point. But, you know, you sort of see there, they were sort of trying to figure out the puzzle. You sort of saw it in the members trying to sort of figure out how do they get through this, how do they figure it out, get through it really well. And then on defense, they were able to just sort of slow down Boosted, by the way, with the ability to sort of build up those ults fairly quickly as they were running into a lot of stalemates into these fights, the fights would take a long time to sort of pan out. Boosted would win a good majority of them in the very beginning, but it just allowed FU to sort of tick down the clock in point A, in the point A fights and in the point C fights. That just sort of made Boosted somewhat frustrated, it seemed like, by the end there, as they just weren't able to sort of play their game, as FU were able to sort of stretch these fights really long with Frisky, and then, you know, you've got Jaemin picking off heads on his side, being able to sort of slow down the members of Boosted as they were trying to get in. It's just been absolutely fantastic coming out from FU here in this matchup.
Yeah, very, I want to say coordinated, but both sides honestly looked very coordinated. I think the biggest issue that we see, the biggest discrepancy between these two teams so far has been, if Boosted, by the way, can close out a fight, if they're able to run the plan that they want going into that fight, they'll close out a fight, and they'll close it out very fast and very efficiently. They rarely over-invest in ults, but when things get down to the wire, if Furious Unicorns is able to draw out fights, maybe slow down Boosted, or maybe throw some sort of wrench into their plans, that Boosted looks a little bit more flustered and gets a little bit lost in those longer fights.
Yeah, and you know, we're going into the land of the forever fight here into Hanamura. So this is probably going to be a map here. If FU have been playing the way that they've been playing, drawing out fights with regards to defending here, especially on point B of Hanamura, can get you into some really long 1 minute, 2 minute fights where sort of target focus and patience there are sort of key. And Boosted hasn't really shown that in the first two fights, which to me says that Furious Unicorns here have a really good shot here on Hanamura if they're able to sort of hold off on these fights. What do you think here? Going into Hanamura, what does Boosted have to do to at least pick up a map here going into maps 3 and 4?
I honestly think they just need to be a little bit more flexible mid-fight. They might be sticking on targets for too long. It's hard to say, especially since we've seen a variety of strategies come out. It's not like they've been just running Ghost the whole time. So minor tweaks, minor communication issues might need to be fixed on Boosted, by the way. I do think that both teams put up a really good job of stalling back on Night Market, which should mean that for both sides, point B should be relatively hard to capture. Both teams are good at stalling, sort of drawing out fights if they need to. But this is a 2CP map, an assault type map, where if you can consistently draw out fights, you have a good chance of winning. And Furious Unicorns has been winning those fights so far.
Yeah, and they have, and it'll be down to basically ult generation here. So if FU and BTW can sort of out-duel them on the ult side, that's going to be a huge advantage for each team. So it looks like both teams are ready. We're going to send it back to you, the casters here, back to Nekkra and SudsNBubbles.
Thank you guys so much, you fan favorites of Owlet, providing all of the expert analysis for these two teams that you guys have casted so much of. But, you know, Suds, we might be in the last half of this match. FU kind of dominating right now over Boosted, by the way, but you know, there's a lot of people in chat that are expecting that reverse sweep coming in now.
Yeah, I mean, Boosted, by the way, is playing quite well. I think so far Furious Unicorns have had their number a little bit. I think they knew a little bit more what to expect out of Boosted than Boosted knew what to expect out of them. But as we do go to Hanamura, we could see some very interesting comps here. We get a lot of the bunker defense and then different attacks, be it dive, kind of sniper ranged comps, or even the goats just to kind of rotate around and force fights on point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, we saw that Furious Unicorns was rocking a couple of those Chengdu Hunters icons. At least in our lobby, we can see that. So maybe they've got that bunker strategy that might be coming into the gates for them, but it doesn't look like that. So it will be Furious Unicorns here on the defense, and we got a little bit of a swap here. Leoxicon taking a bit of a break, well deserved here on the side of Furious Unicorns, but Japan Banks coming in for their namesake map, and there we'll be setting up with that triple tank triple support with the Mei instead of the Diva.
Yeah, and Mei really strong here on Hanamura. You get a lot of use out of that walling people off through the choke, and for those of you playing along, I think that may be a square on our bingo card tonight, so keep an eye out for that.
Oh yeah. Oh, the bingo cards. Something fun for everybody to do when they are watching this amazing match. If the Overwatch alone isn't enough to get you excited about what's happening here for the Majors Grand Finals of the Owlet tournament. But we've got some scouting happening here. Panda Bear Kev going onto the Sombra just to give some information to the enemy team here. And of course, as soon as they go back to spawn, it will be a swap up here. There's that Symmetra, those cheeky plays you were talking about before, Suds.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna see this teleporter come out, try to get them onto point quickly, or mayhaps not. Going to make the rotation around. Lokai getting a little bit kind of out there, but they're gonna make it just fine. And I'm now confused at why we have this Symmetra. Here comes the teleporter onto the high ground, actually.
Wow.
So this is interesting. It looks like they're going to go all the way around the backside of point and attack from this slight high ground you have up these stairwells.
Oh, well, Delicious is going to get booped off a little bit here, and here's where that Maywall comes in handy for the side of Furious Unicorn's defense, but Memory with the first blood for this match here, booping Jamin right off of the back of the map here, where this gives them a significant numbers advantage here, especially because they do have some of that. Wow, but Japan Banks with a very early shatter might be able to turn this around for Furious Unicorns. Even though Booster, by the way, did have that numbers advantage moving into things, they weren't able to pick up those kills fast enough before Japan Banks ended up keeping their offense at bay with that Earth Shatter.
Yeah, and there's that Maywall catches Panda Bear Kev just so they get the stagger kill onto him. He will actually have the Symmetra ultimate up, so the giant infinite shield wall to drop across the map here. Several other ults coming online for the side of Boosted, by the way. For Furious Unicorns, though, they're going to have this the May ultimate, so just locking people down in place and being able to find that damage that way may be what they need to counter this Symmetra composition.
Definitely, especially with that Blizzard, right? We might be able to freeze some of this aggression here from Delicious leading that front charge, but the wall might stop some of that damage coming in here. But Delicious, Earth Shatter goes into Japan Big Shield here, so nice reflexes on the side of Furious Unicorns, but now we're seeing some of those reflexes from the supports here on Boosted, by the way, making fruition. Memory, though, with that sound barrier, but to no avail here. Panda Bear Kev is going to have to go back off the map to reset.
Yeah, and I'm not thrilled about that wall placement. It didn't really give them all that much space to work with. They kind of got it on the corner of the point, but now we will see Panda Bear Kev make the swap over to the Sombra. So you're going to want to work really quickly here to build up an EMP because you only have about a minute 10 left on the clock. In the meantime, 5 ultimates coming up online for Furious Unicorns, and if they can just find 1 or 2 big picks, they can put this into last fight.
Absolutely. We are about at the mode here where we have 2 team fights left if Boosted, by the way, is fast enough. But Panda Bear Kev has been charging up that EMP pretty quickly here. There are a lot of ultimates being used, though, on the side of Furious Unicorns to try to stop this pressure from Boosted, by the way, freezing a lot of the members from that Blizzard there coming out from Draco Ball, and that will be some cleanup. But Panda Bear Kev about halfway to that EMP now.
Yeah, and I really actually like the Graviton Blizzard combo that we just saw there because it prevents any of the defensive abilities like shields and such from having any effect, and it lets Japan Banks and Jamin and Jack just swing into that group of players because they're all frozen. But now coming into the last fight, still 4 ultimates up for Furious Unicorns. Here's a big Graviton.
Yeah, that's going to start kick things off here for the side of Boosted, by the way. And now we've got some more ultimates coming in from either side because this is the last fight. You want to be able to blow everything here. But that EMP from Panda Bear Kev might be what Boosted, by the way, needs to be able to break through this defensive hold. But Jack again with the Jack attack here. Just Brigitte against the world. In overtime, they might be able to stop Boosted, by the way, from touching this point. Flamia was the last one, and Delicious charging back in as quickly as they can with Panda Bear Kev. Are they going to be able to get back, though? It's just stalls at this point, and a nice stagger off of this point means that that was a full hold for Furious Unicorns.
And what a defense from Furious Unicorns. As you say, not even a tick let on. And honestly, I don't know that they even started the capture percentage up at any point because Furious Unicorns were pretty much just playing on that point the entire time. And unfortunately, I don't think that Symmetra stat strat from Boosted by the Way did very much for them besides burn off a little bit of time. It confused us as well as the defenders, but it didn't end up giving them anything.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go back to that combination that we saw that stopped the second to last team fight here for Boosted by the Way. I think I'm going to coin that Snow Globe. The Graviton with the May Blizzard. I kind of like it. Yeah, we're going to go with that from now on. So, just painting a pretty picture here for Furious Unicorns. But, this is 2CP, and we've seen Boosted by the Way before have some astounding holds on Hanamura as well as other 2CP maps. So I don't want to count them out of this one quite yet. They have a lot of damage online that looks like they're going to be leaving the gates with. So very high pick pressure composition here.
Absolutely, a lot of ranged damage. Zach on the Pharah, Lokai going to be on the Ashe, so we'll see where they want to set these characters up. I would expect them to try to find a little bit of a crossfire with that. They are not going to run a Mercy with the Pharah, so Flamia going to have to keep a close eye on Zach. Jamin right now showing the Widow may shut this down very quickly.
Yeah. Jack might have the orb as well, so might get that full pocket from Memory here, but nice. Nice kind of scout out here by Memory onto Draco Bolt, so just completely shutting down that Sombra, but that Sombra was just enough to be able to provide some information to Furious Unicorns on what Boosted by the Way was running.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I would have swapped to if I was Furious Unicorns, although now they're going to go ahead and switch that up even further, going for the... I don't know what they're doing anymore. They don't seem to know either, but we will finally get the Sombra Goats composition with that Moira, as we discussed earlier, just providing so much bulk healing against these ranged DPS characters.
Yeah, but Boosted by the Way doing a phenomenal job of using those long-range DPS to keep Furious Unicorns at bay here. You really can't move in without your main tank, so targeting that down, really smart choice from them.
Yeah, and this is just such a difficult place to move through. Even once you get through that choke, you either have to stay inside and take the long way round or submit yourself to just insane amounts of damage. And Japan Bank's going to look for another entrance here while Panda Bear Kev just burns on his shield.
Yeah, Draco Ball getting so low already, as well as some of the other members. So Jack now with a nice Fire Strike from Delicious will be taken out of the front lines here, and that's another shutdown of that pressure here from Furious Unicorns.
And now they're in a lot of trouble because they have 4 of their players have made it through the choke, and another 2 are respawning, and finding a way to meet those 2 parts of the team back up is always one of the most difficult things you can do in Overwatch. It usually ends up the members that have already made it through have to come back to protect, as they're doing here, but Pokatude goes down early again.
Yeah, so that's exactly what you were talking about, though, that this is that dangerous position. Zach is able to set up a crossfire with Lokai there on the Ashe through this room, and they're taking out members of Furious Unicorns left and right here, so they're going to have to find a way to disengage.
At this point, it looks like their hope is for Jamin to build up this EMP and come in off of that. But while they're doing that, 6 ultimates are online for Boosted, by the way, and so far they haven't even had to use one of those. So they're going to have a lot to work with.
Hey, this is what we were talking about. Can't count Boosted, by the way, out of the fight yet, especially on 2CP, when long-range damage is able to keep a lot of those offensive pushes at bay here. The Furious Unicorns with another attack attempt here into the front lines of Boosted, by the way, but they're going to find themselves caught in a grab and a barrage. They will not be able to pick up too many kills, though, with Zach's Farah barrage, but they're able to do enough damage. The rest of Boosted, by the way, can clean up those kills.
Yeah, they get 2 of those ults out. Zach does make a swap off of the Pharah onto Hanzo here, so still more range DPS, but only a minute left, and ultimates just starting to come online for Furious Unicorns. They will have the Shatter and the Sound Barrier coming into this one, so Japan Banks needs to land a fat one.
Oh, absolutely, but it will be Bob entering this fight first, so giving a numbers advantage significantly to Boosted, by the way, and we got a boosted Bob there as well, definitely doing something in this fight.
Bob boosted, by the way. But that, unfortunately, for Furious Unicorns, Boosted, by the way, did a really good job of playing super spread out there, so there was no Shatter to be had for Japan Banks. And now they're down to 20 seconds with hopefully a Graviton if Draco Ball can make a clean entrance to this fight.
Oh, definitely. I'm a little surprised about the swap from Jamin off of the Sombra here to the Widowmaker, but I mean, Zach's going to be able to win that 1v1 over Jack here, so giving an advantage to Boosted by the Way's defense. But now we've seen some, lots of ultimates coming out right now. Draco Ball with a solo Graviton onto Panda Bear. Kev will take them out of this fight when they hadn't died previously. So that is a significant amount of damage, and Furious Unicorns might actually be doing this. Might be the third map that they take within this series right now, because it is just 2 members left of Boosted by the Way against the forces of Furious Unicorns. And as that last one goes down in Lokai, that is that tick that they need, and Hanamura goes over to Furious Unicorns too.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They just needed that one tick, and that's a 3-0 lead for Furious Unicorns in this final. Now we will see this play of the game from Japan Banks on the Reinhardt here from their defense, I believe. Swinging into your snow globe, and this snow globe has a lot more corpses than any of the ones I've seen, but
I know
it works out great for Furious Unicorns there.
It really does, and I think that actually the play of the game for the Reinhardt might be a bingo card slot as well, but we're in potential match point territory now, and it all resides on this final map that will be, help me out here, Suds, King's Row, there we go.
That's the one, and another very GOATS-centric map here, so, and we've seen that matchup quite a bit here. It's honestly been a little bit back and forth. As you can see from your screen here, Furious Unicorns have been winning the maps, but in the Goats v Goats, the fights kind of go both ways for the most part. It really just kind of depends on who finds the cleaner engage, and a lot of times who's got the ace up their sleeve. Some kind of ultimate usually ends up deciding those.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this a little bit with that Goats v Goats matchup, and I feel like this conversation point might be almost exhausted at this point, but a lot of times it does come down to whether or not you do have a defensive ultimate online for the offensive ones from the Goats composition. So offensive, we're talking about the Earth Shatters, the Diva Bombs, the Grav, comboing with either of those or all of them, Sometimes we just see everybody hitting Q and trying to make some play of the game happen for the highlight reel there, but it does come down to whether or not you can mitigate that damage and pressure from those life-saving support ultimates like the Soundbearer, the Lucio, the Transcendence, and of course, even Brigitte to rally sometimes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That being said, point A of King's Row can play out a little bit similar to point A of Hanamura as far as defensive and offensive compositions. You can get the bunker comp, you can play an offensive Pharah and try to just zone out the enemy team, force them off of that point to avoid taking damage. So there's a lot of options there on first point, and I mean, we saw Furious Unicorns get the better of a similar map geometry in that last map, so Boosted by the Way, again, people are looking for that reverse sweep, but they're really going to need to step it up here.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the win conditions that Boosted by the Way might have online for them. Obviously, we're going to King's Row, which is a fan favorite map for a lot of you that are watching, a lot of you that play, because it's just an amazingly designed map. Let's just leave it at that. But something that's really special about the hybrid means that we might enter a scenario where we see a tie here between Boosted by the Way versus Furious Unicorns. I mean, that almost came to fruition there on Hanamura. It was so close. But if we do enter a tie scenario, we will be going to a 5th and final map, but of course we're going to have a breakdown of the match set before that from our expert analysts. So I'm kind of crossing my fingers here that we get to see a couple more maps. I'd love to see Paris played out.
Oh yeah, Paris has been a very interesting map to see throughout the levels of play as it has started to come into the pools everywhere, but it looks like we are just about ready to hop into King's Row here, and things to note are we're keeping Japan Banks in on the main tank role, and it looks like we're bringing in Mailman for Boosted by the Way, so a couple of little swaps there for the teams.
I wonder if that says something about what strategy Boosted by the way might want to run on King's Row. We saw a mailman come in Lijiang and play that Mercy super, super well. Don't want to call them a Mercy one trick, but I do think that they show a lot of prowess on that hero, and we might see maybe a little bit more of a bunker composition coming in from King's Row. New bunker, though, with the new patch of 1.34, which was just before this Uprising patch came in, it brought in the introduction of Baptiste, and now we do have Baptiste disabled because of just when that hero was introduced into the kind of play pool here for Overwatch. Bunker comp traditionally did have a Mercy to kind of pocket a Bastion or a Torbjorn or some other type of massive damage output.
Absolutely. Another big one there is the Junkrat, and one of the bunker strategies that's been very popular in recent days is that Junkrat Ash bunker, just because, especially playing against an attacking Goats team, you're able to get a lot of damage with that dynamite and use those concussion mines to try to single somebody out and just burn them down with your Bastion and your Ash and your Orisa.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a little bit of a dangerous territory, though, if you're going to lock into a bunker composition on the defense, right? Because the streets of King's Row, when you get that payload moving, are so narrow. A lot of times teams do want to play more of a Reinhardt-heavy composition. So you get lost a little bit when you have to lose some ultimate economy. But, sometimes you see teams just kind of full hold with that composition as well. So, hey, who knows?
It's certainly a gamble, and sometimes, if you're able to burn off a few minutes there on first point, a lot of times it can be worth it, even if you then lose a couple of fights to get your ult economy back moving into second. But, as we say, huge gamble there. You can get broken on your first fight, and then it was completely useless. So,
True.
It's definitely up to what the coaches have zeroed in on for because at this point you're expecting fairly tailored strats for the team that they're playing up against. They've seen a lot of VODs throughout the season as well as in the playoffs, so they kind of should have a good idea of what's coming at them.
Yeah, even though Furious Unicorns and Boosted, by the way, just because of how large the Majors division was and the number of teams that we had, only saw each other once. You're absolutely right about that. All those VODs that we had actually been able to cast any of these games for are on YouTube, so they're free source. Everybody can kind of watch them, see general strategies and how these players like to play against each other. But I think that Boosted, by the way, showed that they really do have a lot of fight in them, and the Hanamura map was probably about the closest that we've seen so far between both of these two teams. So I'm really excited to see whether or not they can get that reverse sweep in here, because it will be King's Row as our fourth map, and it's a best of 6 with a potential 7th map tiebreaker. So lots of amazing Overwatch action that we might be able to see here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, we've had, and I mean, our teams are just about ready to get going, but as they do, let's take a quick, I guess, retrospective of this season that has just been absolutely insane. 20 games for all of these teams, and as we were discussing earlier, a lot of them have come so far from when they were either entering the league or just drafted. We've seen so much improvement since week 1. It's been absolutely ridiculous.
We really have. So I think that our analysts, Hodahori and Pulse, talked about this a little bit more. But Boosted, by the way, there's a lot of players on that team that come from other teams from Season 1. So they're veterans of the league here. They do have a lot of experience going into the playoffs. But they're also having to deal with a little bit more of an unknown on the side of Furious Unicorns. The only last standing member on Furious Unicorns from Season 1 is Lijiang. So they're the only one, and I think maybe Blue as well. But Blue's not playing in this game at the moment. So with the players that are here, Lijiang is the last one that's kind of standing. And it's kind of amazing just to see that there was so much retention from Season 1 to Season 2, and we can only hope that we can continue to make the tournament a great place for these players to develop these skills.
Yeah, absolutely, and what a great place it has been for the last year or so. So we are finally into King's Row here, we will, in fact, have Furious Unicorns here on the defense first. And it looks like they want to run a just a fairly standard Goats 3-3 variant, if you will, with that Ana in the flex support role. So gives them the heal, deny, as well as that nano boost to either just increase damage or, more specifically in some cases, really build up ultimates like the Shatter or that Graviton Surge.
Oh yeah, and look at this, Pokitude flexing that emote there from the Owl Access Pass last season for the Overwatch League. Just having a little bit of a dance party here because this is match point. Furious Unicorns are so hungry to be able to take this map and potentially take the series. But Boosted, by the way, I think they're ready for the comeback of the century here against Furious Unicorns, and they're actually, with that starting from Panda Bear Kev, going to decide that they don't want to play what they were originally going to play here, pulling a little bit of an FU, a Hanamura round 2, right? Figuring out what they want to play and still kind of figuring that out.
Yeah, it looks like they are gonna run the Sombra and the Pharah here with Mailman on that Mercy. So as we were saying, very, very good Mercy play coming out from Mailman so far this series.
Oh, definitely. We have been seeing a lot of great support play on both sides of the board here, but with the triple support on the side of Furious Unicorns, they might have a little bit more sustain within this fight, especially because you are going to be able to go into the front lines here with that Brigitte in tow to protect your Reinhardt and your Zarya and D.Va, and that's going to be a first team fight win to Furious Unicorns.
Yeah, a very good hold from them, and we are seeing Zach use that Pharah, just trying to force Furious Unicorns back and off the point into that rear archway, but not really able to do so. Draco Bolt doing a good job of giving some contest, just chasing him off a little bit here and there to prevent that damage from coming in.
Yeah, there is a lot of damage mitigation coming in from the side of Furious Unicorns because you got that defense matrix from the D.Va, so a lot of the long-range damage coming in from Zac and Lokai on the Pharah and Ashe respectively are not really working in this situation right now, but Frisky with a nice play into the backline, and now Zac with the barrage. We will be completely mitigated here by Draco Ball, but not before Japan Banks gets taken out of the fight. But with the nano boost invested onto Jack, Jack's able to kind of go into the front line here. There's nothing really scarier than a nano boosted Brigitte in your face.
Yeah, a little bit uncommon from my eye, but boy did it work out there, able to just burn down Delicious on that Reinhardt, and that should buy just enough time for the respawns to come back for Furious Unicorns. But ultimate's starting to come online for both sides. Furious Unicorns getting the better of it right now just because Zac used his barrage in that last fight. Going to have the Graviton and the Earth Shatter to try to stop this push as the engage starts to come in from Delicious and Panda Bear Kev.
Yeah, we got the engage coming in, but here is the Graviton Surge, but of course Memory in with the clutch transcendences that they're able to put into every fight, but Bob a little bit missing the mark, and there's a sleep onto that Bob as well, so he's just gonna go take a nap in the back line here. But now, here is where Boosted, by the way, gets very serious. Oh, that bomb though from Draco Ball with the double kill. Looked like it was going to be able to give Furious Unicorns a little bit of a fighting chance here, but Boosted, by the way, is chasing down those kills.
Yeah, just didn't really buy them enough space there. And Boosted, by the way, once they take control of that point, Zac can really zone out so many characters just by raining those rockets down on the Pharah. And now Lokai pushing pretty far forward, trying to get some more damage and slow down this re-engage coming out from Furious Unicorns, who now are going to have Frisky on the Moira, so just trying to get a little bit more healing out of their flex support.
Yeah, just a little bit more here. You always want to have those support ultimates online, but this is a very interesting engagement from both teams. So Graviton, though, is going to catch a lot of the players of Furious Unicorns, and that means that Justice is going to hit its mark here. So Boosted, by the way, now with significant momentum moving into the latter parts of the second point and well into third.
Yeah, and Frisky here just going to stall out the point for a little while. Does get finally taken out by Lokai with that dynamite. And now Delicious pushing pretty far forward with this Earth Shatter is going to back off, give a little bit of space to Furious Unicorns, who are going to stack up on this corner. Japan Banks wants to try to get in here and stop this cart before they cap second.
Yeah, and they are going to be able to get in with that last-second recontest, and their Brigitte rally is going to give them quite a bit of extra armor on top of it, but a really nice shatter here coming in from Delicious, but he's chasing somebody else in the back line here, which means that there is no protection to save Memory or save Lokai in the back from the onslaught of Furious Unicorn's defense here. But of course, Mailman with another amazing res like we've seen all game will be able to even up the score a little bit here as we take that Mech and Draco Ball out of this fight. And another barrage from Zach will remove the rest of the forces of Furious Unicorns, and this is the momentum that we needed to see from Boosted, by the way.
Yeah, Boosted, by the way, showing so much sustain in these fights right now, too, and Delicious has been hitting some really big shatters to open these fights and try to get his team the advantage. Now, Furious Unicorns, just with the Graviton Surge, Jack off of the Brigitte, moving over to the Hanzo, just trying to do something about these range damage characters.
Oh, well, there's that Transcendence, and we're hearing a lot more ults getting a chance to be utilized here. Double support ults from the side of Boosted, by the way, just in order to keep everybody online. Zach getting a lot of shots and is building back up to that barrage, but it looks like Boosted, by the way, is going to back up because of just too much pressure here from Furious Unicorns.
Yeah, losing Mailman is a pretty heavy loss. You lose that res, you lose the majority of your healing when that happens, and now Frisky is going to have this Coalescence, which can be a huge deterrent into these GOATS compositions, but Mailman actually making the swap over to the Lucio, so going to try to make use of that speed, getting around these last couple of corners, as well as building up that sound barrier to protect his team from those big ultimates like the Dragaton, I believe you were calling it.
I come up with a lot of creative names for some of these. I'm sure they're not completely original, though. I must have heard them somewhere. But I'm hearing a lot of battle cries here on both sides of the field, but it is Boosted, by the way, with the upper hand. Delicious, though, getting shield bashed by Zach. Or, by Jack. Wow, a couple of, Zach, Jack, a lot of synonyms here. But that means that they're going to be taken out of this fight, and now we're seeing a lot of other ultimates getting forced out by Boosted, by the way, because they want to be able to take this point. They do have a minute and a half left, and that time is ticking down, especially as Boosted, by the way, continues to make progress on this cart, forcing out the stall heroes and the respawns coming in from Furious Unicorns. Pokitude will provide some more sustain to this fight with the sound barrier, but there's too many members of Boosted, by the way, left alive here, which means that they're able to whack away at the members of Furious Unicorns one by one, taking every single reinforcement out of this fight here. But as we see this fight last longer and longer, we are getting ultimates online from the side of Furious Unicorns, even with those stall heroes. But it's just a matter of moments, I think, before Boosted, by the way, does make something happen on this offense and cap this point. But the name of the game right now for Furious Unicorns is to get as much time off the clock as possible. They want an overtime scenario here. That overtime scenario is getting closer and closer as we do have 30 seconds left. Draco Ball, though, running back to point with the soldier, popping down that heal station, which will allow some time for the rest of the members to come back out. And now Frisky on the May is going to eat a significant amount of time off this clock for Japan Bakes to come back and play some pinball into the enemy team of Boosted, by the way. Jamin with the Tracer Pulse Bomb as well. I mean, Suds, there's so many things happening right now.
You're absolutely right. There's Wrecking Ball just spinning around there, channeling his inner umming, and now the kills are finally coming in. Once again, Pokitude gets booped off the point, taken down. That will be the cap for Boosted, by the way, but they do burn off that time. It is in overtime, so that puts a little bit of a damper on that cap because it affects the possible scenarios going into extra rounds should we get to that point.
Yeah, so we do have the possibility of Furious Unicorns capping all 3 points with over a minute remaining, which means that they will be the only team allowed to retry their attack push on King's Row for around 3. If there's less than a minute left, it means that both Furious Unicorns and Boosted, by the way, will get a chance to attack for rounds 3 and 4 of King's Row. But, you know, Furious Unicorns is looking to shut it out here, but Boosted, by the way, I think they're going to give up a heck of a fight to be able to keep them off of that winning circle.
Yeah, they definitely looked like they got a little kick in the seat of the pants between those last two maps. They're looking a lot better here, and I mean, they did look very good on Hanamura, don't get me wrong. We discussed that. They very nearly got the full hold for that draw, but now they're going to have to put up a similar defense if they want to win this this map here. They need to stop them before they reach the end. So we will see Boosted by the Way come out on this Sombra Goats composition. Panda Bear Kev running that Sombra, so looking for the harass, getting those hacks, as well as building up that EMP to just try to win some of these fights and build the rest of the team's ultimates.
I wonder if we're going to see Draco Ball stay on the Sombra this time, or if it's just for a little bit of scouting like we've seen Furious Unicorns do before. A lot of teams, sometimes when they see a Sombra on the enemy team, like to run a Sombra of their own to shut it down, but it does look like we are going to swap off of at least the double sniper composition here for Furious Unicorns, and maybe full swaps across the board.
Yeah, they will just go over to this traditional Goats composition with the Zenyatta, so they will need to keep an eye out for Panda Bear Kev there, and they've spotted him pretty early, force him to translocate into his own backline.
Yeah, that will be a lot of pressure here from Boosted by the Way onto the backline of Furious Unicorns, which just makes them second guess their approach at this point. They need to wait for some cooldowns to come online to be able to deal with that backline pressure, but wow, because we see Lokai so high charged at the moment, they're getting lots of damage onto the enemy team of Furious Unicorns before they're actually able to move in, but that anti-nade will make a lot of the healing completely mitigated on the side of Boosted by the Way, so we are seeing some progress onto this point right now, and there's not a whole lot of ways for Boosted by the Way to kind of come back in this before I think we see Furious Unicorns cap this point. Oh, just a little too late.
Yeah, and there's another anti-nade that's going to just pretty much finish this fight, I think, for Furious Unicorns. Follow it up with that Earth Shatter, and something, oh my goodness, the counter Shatter does come out.
I mean, that might give Boosted by the Way a fighting chance, though, because it does bully some of the members of Furious Unicorns back to that payload. And because of how many players are alive on Boosted by the Way, they will be able to get a very early contest in here. And look at Panda Bear Kev getting primed and ready with that EMP.
Yeah, this is good. They are able to find a new contest at this choke, but damage onto Delicious's shield is almost making him back up. There's a huge EMP.
Yeah, massive EMP, but the kills are going in the way of Furious Unicorns because Japan Bank's just swinging that hammer. Even though we saw Delicious kind of swinging at them as well, they're still moving this cart.
Yeah, and I really quickly want to talk about that fight that won first, because that was a set nade from Frisky. His team protected him while he set up in the backline, threw it way up in the air as they engaged, and it came down onto the members of Boosted by the Way as they were backing off of the point. So just a ridiculous set play there from Furious Unicorns.
Yes, but here is the play that we needed to see here from Boosted by the Way, using that Graviton from Lokai, but there's too many defensive ultimates on the side of Furious Unicorns. Now we're seeing other ultimates getting forced out here because of how long this fight has gone on for, and now we see Boosted by the Way using the support ult of their own, but Japan Pigs with another Earth Shatter, a Mailman with a sound barrier to be able to neutralize that fighting pressure, and there's still a lot of back and forth. It's going to come down to who's going to get another offensive ultimate online first, and it might be Panda Bear Kev with 80% to that EMP, but now that Zach Delicious have gone down, the front line of Boosted by the Way has disappeared, and this cart will cap for second point.
Yeah, Panda Bear Kev being the last one to contest here, but this cart should cap with 3 minutes left in the time bank, and they're going to get an extra bit of time as well. So almost 5 minutes to try to push this into third. We're going to need a heroic hold from Boosted by the Way if they want to have a chance at anything besides a draw here.
Well, that heroic hold might come off of the back of the EMP. Panda Bear Kev coming in the ramparts here, looking for an opportunity to use the EMP. There it is! It's gonna hit 5 of those members, but Frisky is still alive to be able to get a fat Bionade onto the rest of the team. But Boosted by the Way has been able to make use of all of that shutdown pressure from that EMP to be able to get Furious Unicorns to back off and stabilize their defense.
Yeah, they get the 2 big health pool tanks there, and that's enough to pretty much end that push. And now, Graviton Surge is going to be online for both sides. Delicious and Japan Banks both going to have an Earth Shatter here. Support ults for both sides, and here comes the entry.
Oh, there is the entry, and the entry is with the Transcendence on top of here, but a double Earth Shatter will be a little bit bigger for the side of Furious Unicorns, spelling a couple of members of the side of Boosted, by the way, but now we have the Graviton and a lot of pressure and a lot of support coming in from both sides, but now that Nano Boost, we do see a Boostio on the side of Pokitude for Furious Unicorns, and that might be just enough to scare away some of these members of Boosted, by the way. A bomb, though, because of a DMEC onto Draco Bolt, unfortunately, is just to zone off some of this pressure from Boosted, by the way, but the respawns, the reinforcements coming in faster for that defense, and Furious Unicorns deciding they don't want to take this fight anymore.
Yeah, they back off just to pick up the respawning Japan Banks, and that was a really good kind of soft disengage, but another Graviton Surge out.
Oh, another Graviton Surge in memory, just a little bit late to be able to save their frontline main tank in Delicious. And now with a boop from Pokitude off the edge, we're seeing that Boostio, unfortunately, not pop off with a Nano Boost, but just pop off because they are a speedy boy. With that extra Bionade onto the members of Boosted, by the way, we might be able to see a 0.3 cap here with time to spare, especially as Japan Banks ends up hitting a home run out of the park here. 2.5 minutes left for the end of round 2.
Yeah, unbelievable push there from Furious Unicorns, just cruising through second and with only a small hiccup going into third. I mean, that was honestly a bit of a dominant showing. They were getting more value out of their ultimates. We saw fights there with 6-man EMPs that did not go the way of Boosted, by the way, and when that's happening, it just makes it very hard to win these engagements.
It does make it really hard to win the engagements. I mean, we've seen a lot of drawn-out fights where we're seeing like 12 ultimates getting utilized, which means that some of it comes down to just an all-out brawl. And I gotta say, the target focus seems to be a little bit better in those scenarios for Furious Unicorns. They know what their win condition is, and it's by bullying the front line of Boosted, by the way.
Yeah, and now we're going to see if they're able to continue to do that with another chance at this attack. They're going to have 2 minutes, 39 seconds just to get a tick on this first point. So we're going to need a very serious defense from Boosted, by the way, who have opted for the traditional Zenyatta Goats composition. So they need to find some sort of linchpin here. They need to have some kind of key. They need to see the weakness right now because this is their last chance.
It is their last chance, but their last chance resides in the hopes of this triple tank, triple support composition. We haven't seen it too much from Boosted, by the way, only in scenarios where it really seems to be ride or die here. But the name of the game is going to be winning this first team fight and starting to get that ultimate charge online for either side. But lots of just kind of waiting right now.
Yeah, they're just... Furious Unicorns looking for an opening. They are going to rotate through Hotel here and take the fight from the other side. And here's the hard engage.
Here's the hard engage, but Delicious is going to be drawing that first blood. And wow, that's going to be massive cleanup here for Boosted, by the way. And that is how you want to start this off if you are that team, because this is the last chance.
Yeah, Delicious with some excellent support from the rest of his team, the Brigitte, as well as his Zarya there, able to get a ton of damage down. And we are going to see him build up an ultimate here early in this fight if he can just get one more little fire strike or a nice juicy swing onto the enemy. And they will once again try to hold this corner, but somebody has to stay on point because one tick takes no time.
You're absolutely right about that, especially because Furious Unicorns is already making their way, but the massive Earth Shatter from Delicious is going to get a lot of the members of Furious Unicorns. That was a great Brigitte bash that we saw there to be able to enable that play, and wow, a Brigitte rally to follow it up just to provide some extra armor on top of this Boosted, by the way, crew.
Yeah, I may have held on to that rally, but some other ultimates coming online for them. 60 seconds left, and Draco Bolt, after each fight, has had to give up his ultimate charge to get his mech back there in the spawn, so no Diva Bomb going to be even an option for Furious Unicorns here.
Oh, I mean, it's a really great thing that you picked up on here, because they do have the Graviton Surge coming up very soon, but here is a Graviton from Boosted, by the way, with the bomb on top of it, and now we see double support ultimates, but the double shatter. Everybody is down on both teams here, but we are bound to the last couple of seconds. Here is where you got the last parts of the fight that really matter here. And Furious Unicorn's not able to do too much on the side of that Graviton, but one member down in Delicious means that this might be a domino effect here. Furious Unicorn's getting closer to that victory mark. They need to be able to get that one take on that point, and Boosted, by the way, is falling one by one here, allowing Furious Unicorns to get that rally up and get that win. This will be Furious Unicorns crowned as your grand champions of the Majors division.
Just an insane showing for Furious Unicorns here in the finals. A full sweep, looking very, very dominant on most of these maps. Here in the second half, we did see Boosted, by the way, seem to wake up, but it was just too little too late. And, I mean, good showing from both teams, but Furious Unicorns coming out really looking the better here.
Yeah, what's amazing to me, too, is that Boosted, by the way, in this ending scene, did have the majority of the cards. And, of course, in the game of Overwatch, you know, you could talk about medals, you could talk about cards as being a significant factor here. But Boosted, by the way, did look like a very strong team for the majority of the season and, of course, the playoffs, right? So this was a well-fought battle for both sides. And congratulations again. Thank you so much to all the viewers for listening to SudsNBubbles and I Cast. I hope you guys had as much fun watching as we had casting this match, but I think it's about time to hand it back over to your fan favorites of Hotohori and Pulse to break down the rest of this match and also get with that interview.
Thank you very much, Nekkra. Wow, what a final. Hey, Twitch chat, give it up to the pros there, Nekkra and SudsNBubbles. They called a hell of a match there between Furious Unicorns and Boosted, by the way. Furious Unicorns with a 4-0 sweep over the perennial favorites here, and Boosted, by the way, here, I think they lost, no joke, less than 10 total maps in the entire 20-game run of Stage 1 and 2 in Owlet Majors, which was just an outstanding record. They were so dominant in the regular season, and were looking very dominant going into the final. Pulse, let's break down those two last maps there. Furious Unicorns were just able to sort of gut it out almost. It was with Hanamura especially there. I mean, like, they were able to basically prevent Boosted, by the way, from sort of coming onto the point. But I think a little bit of it was maybe Boosted was a little too cute there on Hanamura.
A little bit. And I want to point out that going into that match, as a player myself, one of the things I told you is if Unicorns win Hanamura, then it's very likely just going to close out on 4 games, because not many players are used to these long 7-game series. Could be potentially 7 games at least for this one, best of 6. So at that point, most of the time after 3 maps, your match is going to be decided, and it's very hard to come back from that. So a lot was resting on Boosted when they went into Hanamura to actually win that map or come up with a draw at least, which they were not able to do. So going into that, they decided to run a sim strat, but my biggest problem as sort of like an analyst and caster is they didn't seem to really understand the strengths of that composition. The defense was running a Mei, which is the sim strats normally run let you bypass these walls, but they were just having trouble getting in. They took a very long flank. They wasted a lot of time before the first fight, and before you know it, they lose their first fight, and it's almost 2 minutes off the clock. So they didn't really have a chance to come back and win the map at that point. They were already down so much in time that it entirely relied on them having a solid defense to take Hanamura, or even draw Hanamura at that point.
Yeah, Furious Unicorns just, they did wait till the very last minute there, so it was looking a little shaky. Boosted basically holding on there, but it was basically the same story on King's Row too, right? Like, I mean, they pushed through King's Row and then have to use up pretty much every little remaining bit there at the very end to make sure that they actually capture point A. We were talking about it in the middle of that King's Row run. That stall at the end of Boosted's push onto point C was just absolutely amazing, and as a group won them that match, because Boosted going into that point C had about 230, 240 left, and they were just able to just sort of whittle it down, get a pick here and there, and just able to just sort of, as a team, sort of hold them off. And you just saw sort of like, cracks in Boosted's armor there, as they weren't able to just sort of move everybody off of Furious away.
Mm-hmm. And that stall too was exactly what we were calling out in Lijiang earlier in the day, where if you have this fantastic stall capability, and you have that advantage in longer fights, which Unicorns did. It just ended up carrying them to the win in the end because they cut off they didn't have the world's best showing on Kings Row point B. Point A, they did decently cut some time off the clock. B, more or less Boosted just rolled through off of a couple good ultimates, but they managed to make a good comeback in point C and cut off 2.5 minutes in a final stall to put the cap in overtime, which means that Boosted never got a shot. As long as Unicorns were able to cap with more than a minute left, Boosted wouldn't get a shot to try and win that map. It put all of the cards in their favor coming into their last attack.
Yeah, and it was absolutely fantastic there, and then they used up pretty much that entire time bank, clearing out point C. Just great combos, good aggression there by Furious Unicorns. And the thing about it is they knew Boosted had the EMP. They basically had it come out, use that wipe, and then just use their ult advantage there in the end to sort of push on through. Good disengages by Furious Unicorns. When they lost Japan banks, they sort of soft disengaged, waited for their tank to come back, and made sure that when they fought as 6 as an entire time, and it won them the tournament. So joining us right now is going to be our Analysts MVP. It's going to be Frisky here from the Furious Unicorns. Frisky, how you doing, man? Congratulations on the win.
It's doing pretty good.
So tell me, just walk me through what's going through your guys' head as you're sort of progressing through the maps there. You get a great sort of win there on the Lijiang Tower, and then you go up 2-0 on Rialto there with a great performance to just sort of shut down, sort of Boosted by the way, with a great push. I mean, as you're up 2-0, did you think, hey, we're going to sweep these guys?
Honestly, even before this grand finals, we always had this mentality going into playoffs that we were just going to basically every game, it's always going to be 0-0. Always. Like, no matter, it's just like, even though we got hyped, like beating Yes and beating Ghost Peppers, we still had this mentality to just go 0-0. We haven't won a map. This is like our first game. So we just kept that going and going and going until we got to the last map and we got here.
Any nerves sort of settle in there on that final push on Kings Row? You guys are up 3-0, time's running down, you can lock it up. If you tie, you give at least a little bit of hope there to Boosted by the way. Just tell me about that last final push there going into Kings Row to win the title.
Honestly, it was just adapting. I think that our shot callers, Leo and Poke, and actually a team as a whole, the way that we were able to control the disengages and stuff like that, I wasn't really looking for the final result. We were just basically taking baby steps. We were just, they use this ult, we read it, and then we're gonna use this before, we basically just read them, and after that we're gonna announce what ults we're gonna use, and after that we just did it like that. As soon as it was pretty insane how both teams got shattered. It was pretty funny, but. After that, it just came down to as soon as everybody got up, everybody just like shot calling, just like targeting, focusing on one person. We got the tank, and after that it was Zarya, and then we just kept taking one by one. And I think that as a team as a whole, focusing as a group, it really did change a lot of things there.
Very nice. Well, one thing that I'd like to point out real quick is coming into the half, we didn't really know who our MVP was going to be. Some early contenders were definitely you and Jamin. And we were sort of deciding between the two, but we didn't really settle it until that first purple that you got with the Ana nade on your King's Row push. And as soon as that happened, me and Hodo just both instantly said, this guy's our MVP. And it was because of plays like that. I want to know how many of those types of plays you had set for Boost in general, or how much of it was just in the moment, hey, I'm going to pull this off, see if it works.
The Ana nade on first point where I threw it? Oh, yeah. Even throughout the season, we had. Well, I always been practicing to do nade spots like on Numbani, like first point. We tried to do those during scrims, bunker comps for Kings Row. I had names for those. It's basically people like MLS7 that I watch. There's like, to me, like I really research my things, and I basically study what they know, and after that, it's just like those types of advantages they never really expect, And I think that's why we always have that one up to the other team. So, you know, those opportunities, as well as the team as a whole, just like collapsing or like, you know, falling on that point, it's really feels good, basically.
That's really cool to hear. But like, let's hear from you. Any sort of shout outs and final thoughts here to your team? You were getting a lot of love there in the Twitch chat today, and I know Prez, who didn't play, who ran the nest today before the game, was very sort of into it. He gave himself a unicorn horn on stream. I don't know if you saw that. But any shout outs to anybody in Twitch land for you today here for your great win?
Honestly, well, this is my first ever tournament, and you know, and this is, you know, I from the beginning, my coaches know I was a very toxic player, but they were able to work with me and to teach me things, and I'm able to basically, because I told them my goal was to basically go into the Overwatch League, and you know, this was one of my things, because I recently, in the past couple months, I met Puckett and Boy, and I asked him personally, what should I do to get ready for the Overwatch League? And they just said, just join tournaments and get as much experience as possible before you even get there. So hopefully, I'm just hoping that I really like Owlet. It was really good. I love my team. My team is really good. I think that next season, I'm hoping that they add a Masters division, since I'm graduated, and almost like our team is almost like all Masters, and they're getting there. They're on the crest. So like, I was kind of sad when I hit the 36, even though, like, you know, I shouldn't be when I'm like ranking up and stuff like that. But it just sucks that, you know, seeing like I just played with these guys, and all of a sudden, like, now I had to leave because I graduated because I'm a high rank. It's kind of just like depressing. But honestly, if it does come down to if they don't make a Masters division, I was thinking about, like, you know, assistant coaching or stuff like that, or with the FU team for the majors. But fingers crossed on the Masters division team, because I'm 100% going to be repping the Fierce Unicorns. Even in the Overwatch League, I'll be still repping them. So
that's really, really great to hear. But all right, thank you so much, and go rejoin your team. I'm pretty sure there's a party in the Furious Unicorns Discord right now that you're missing.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Hey, thank you, Frisky. And you know what? That they earned it. And maybe you see one day, maybe not season 3 or season 4, but maybe you see Frisky up there on the stage there in the Owl tournament. So, like, you know, this place is a great stepping stone. The whole point of the Owlet tournament is for players to get better, to achieve, like, you know, milestones, breaking Masters teams, making new contacts, and then sort of matriculating your way up through teams and play to see maybe if you can get all the way up and maybe make it to the professional level. But that is going to be that. Congratulations to the Furious Unicorns today. They win the Majors Grand Final here over Boosted, by the way, ruining their perfect record there at the very end, 4-0. Pulse, it's been a pleasure. Final thoughts from you on this match between the two teams?
It's been a ride, to say the least. I know Furious Unicorns have made strides in the playoffs, and they were one of the first teams to really bring the fight to Boosted. So it was a very exciting match to watch, and they just overall came out as a much stronger team. The teamwork was there tonight. Many of their players were consistently popping off, and just everything was going right for them. So it was very fun to watch.
Yeah, it was much to watch. And then now it's a personal note for me. I wanted to thank the Owlet tournament and Broadcast GG for giving Pulse and I the opportunity to be analysts here in the Majors Grand Final, and also to be the casters for the Minors Final last night, if you watched that. But it's a hearty thank you from us and from all of the admins and all the people who participated in both the Minors and the Majors division. Thank you so much for making this, I think, one of the greatest tournaments in Overwatch here under the 3,500 level. But it's a hearty thank you from us, and a hearty thank you to the Broadcast GG for letting us cast the finals here on their channel for the exposure. And thank you to everyone who participated in everything. So I just want to send a hearty thank you, even thank you to Twitch chat, knowing that you guys are posting whatever it is that you're posting right now. But it is a hearty thank you from us and the admins, and I know that the admins want to thank everybody for participating for tonight. But that's going to do it for us. Season 2 of the Owlet tournament is Dunzo, we hope to see you in Owlet Tournament 3, hopefully very, very soon. But for Pulse, for Nekkra, for SudsNBubbles, for Ben, who has been our producer, has been absolutely fantastic, for Head Honcho Bort, who was our lobby master today, and making sure wrangling everything that was going around. Thank you so much to everybody who participated in this. It is a win for the Furious Unicorns. They are your Season 2 Grand Finals champions, beating Boosted, by the way, 4-0. For everyone, it's a hearty thank you, and have a good night.